sitting out here in my balcony garden because it's such a beautiful evening. It's still light and warm at 5 p.m. It's April 1st today, and I don't know about you, but I'm not really thinking about pranking anyone. I'm just thinking about what an insane month March was, astrologically speaking. So the first big lunar event of March was the full moon in Virgo on March 7th. Personally, I have the Sun, Jupiter, and Venus in Virgo, so that was kind of a big deal for me, and it was completing a 6-month lunar cycle. The new moon in Virgo was on August 27th, which was my 30th birthday, and then we had the full moon in Virgo to kick off March, so that was kind of cool. And on that same day, Saturn finally left Aquarius and entered Pisces, and I'm of the generation that was born with Saturn in Aquarius, meaning that this completed our Saturn return, which, if you know, you know. So the big theme there was basically growing up. Then the next big day of stuff coinciding was March 21st, I guess kind of also the 20th. So that's when we started Aries season. The sun moved into Aries. And of course this always coincides with the spring equinox, the vernal equinox, when day and night are of equal length, a day of balance. It's also known as Ostara, which is a holiday or a Sabbath on the wheel of the year, celebrated by a lot of witches and pagans. And the start of Aries season marks the beginning of a new astrological year. So that was a big day of new beginnings. But what was a really big deal was that there was a new moon in Aries, in the same sign, on March 21st. And it was at 0 degrees of Aries. So basically right at the beginning of the zodiac, at the very start of the astrological year, the sun was entering Aries. There was a new moon in Aries, obviously conjunct the sun because that's what a new moon is, and that was such a day of just new beginnings and fresh starts. And that new moon in Aries was completing a cycle that started back in October with the full moon in Aries. And it's kind of funny because I sort of had this intuitive awakening on that full moon. I didn't realize it at the time, but looking back, that's actually when I basically started deciding to quit my job and do this and just kind of transform my whole life. So funny to reflect back on that. But even more big stuff happened after that. So just a couple days later, on March 23rd, Pluto finally left Capricorn for the first time since 2008. Pluto is now in Aquarius, going to be there for a little while, retrograde back, and then be more firmly in Aquarius a little bit later on. And then finally on March 25th, Mars finally left Gemini after being there for 7 months, for a really long time, and entered Cancer. For me personally, that was kind of a big deal because as a Gemini rising, Mars was in my first house of self. It crossed over my ascendant, it crossed over my south node, so that was kind of a lot. But Mars now finally has transitioned into a new sign. So long story short, March was a big deal. We had a lot of major transits. Things have really shifted a lot, astrologically speaking, and I think it's all very exciting.